Okay, we're going to try this again. I was having some technical difficulty going live. Facebook made it easier to go live now, so there was a little bit of trouble. And I accidentally ended up posting the video to my personal account. So to all of my Sophia homeschool fans out there, I apologize. It is now 1:30 and here we are officially going live, trying to answer the question for you. What do you do if you find yourself homeschooling by surprise? As you know, Virginia and Maryland and the District of Columbia and other areas throughout the country have declared, New York, I believe, have declared a state of emergency because of the coronavirus. Now, these jurisdictions, schools are all closed down and children are home. And to make matters even more complicated, they still have finals due and they still have class assignments to keep up with and to submit online. So what are you as a parent to do? Believe it or not, this is homeschooling. You're homeschooling. And it's actually, I'll be perfectly honest with you, it is the most difficult way to homeschool. It's the most difficult way for several reasons. First of all, you did not have any time to plan. You didn't have any time to observe your children. You didn't have any transition. And you also probably don't even have the desire to be doing this. Your life is just in this state of transition and you have to make the best of it. And also, it's more difficult when class assignments are you're accountable to somebody outside. Your children are accountable to somebody outside the home because you don't have any control of that. So, what are you going to do? Okay, take a deep breath, and you've got this. Because the first thing you want to do is to think about the best case scenario. What do you want to see happen by the time schools open again? What is the very best thing that could come of this? Now you have a goal. And that's what you are going to be very intentional about bringing about. Whatever you need to do to make sure that that best case scenario takes place, now you know what that looks like and you just go towards that. It's just that easy. My recommendation on this is to make sure that you maintain a schedule. Above all else, that's your job right now. Your job is to maintain discipline, order, and a reliable schedule. That is going to bring peace of mind. Make sure the children understand that this is not a holiday. This is not a snow day. This is not summer break. There are still assignments due. There are still expectations. And make sure they know what hours of the day are their study hours. This is going to take care of a lot of the stress and a lot of the conflict. If you don't have designated hours, which are your study hours, you're going to end up at dinner time and you're going to say, have you done your assignments for today? And then you're going to get a laundry list of excuses of why those assignments weren't done. And now you have a power struggle. Now you have a clash. Avoid that power struggle at all costs. You do not want an unnecessary conflict during this time. And if you've set very clear expectations the night before, and to make it clear that going forward this is what it's going to look like, then you are going to only have to enforce and not have to invent the standards. Okay, you're going to take down a lot of stress by just making sure everybody's clear on what the expectations are. If your children are younger and they don't have assignments due, well, this could be a very, very good thing. It's spring. It's beautiful outside. You can take your children out to the woods. Now, you don't have to be in big crowds to go on a hike. You can avoid human contact and you can avoid contamination. If you head on out for a hike, you learn to identify birds and plants and you notice that the flowers all in bloom. And let me me tell you something. This is where the real learning happens. Take some poetry and head on out and have a picnic and read poetry to your children. Have them all bring their favorite reading assignments and make reading a family event. There you have it. That's their schoolwork. If they're in these younger grades, you sing songs, your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s, and you do multiplication rhymes, and you make it a fun and enjoyable adventure. Now, you may just find that along this adventure, you find that this is going so well that you think you might be able to handle it permanently. Now, wouldn't that be an exciting thing to discover? You might discover that you are starting to learn your children. They are learning styles. Maybe they're learning disabilities. You might understand things about your children that you never knew before. You know, the first day I began homeschooling, I set out with only one objective, and that was to observe my children. And as I observed my children, I learned things about them that I never knew before. For example, my daughter, who I thought was a slower learner. Turns out she was brilliant. She was just thinking in a different way, and I hadn't seen it before. And she was the most eager and grateful student. Anytime I spent any time with her, she just sucked it up. And I also discovered that I had another child who was, in everybody's mind, the smart one. Turns out he wasn't necessarily the smart one. He was just a perfectionist, and he was never going to try something that he wasn't excellent at. And I found that I had to work on that. So you may find during this time that the assumptions you had of your children may have been a little misaligned. Take advantage of this time. Life happens for you and not to you. This is an opportunity for you to observe and to start to understand where your family is. And even if they do go back to school once everything is back and in order, be grateful for this opportunity. Yes, it can be inconvenient. Yes, it can be stressful. And yes, there is a transition, and transitions are almost never easy. But there is a lot that you can bring out of this. And don't worry, we're here for you. If you have any questions, we're here. We'll answer your questions, and we'll be by you the whole way.